Hello, everyone. This is Ed Brenegar, and welcome to the Eddie Network podcast. My guest today is Sean Georges, a former Marine, not an ex-Marine, a former Marine, right?
So, yeah, one of the most recent commandants said, "Once a Marine, always a Marine." So
Well,
I guess
okay,
I'm a Marine.
a Marine, a Marine in his wherever he's a Marine, an attorney both in private practice and in corporate law, and now the co-author with his childhood friend and also fellow Marine, John Buford, called On Mission. And there is a video that we did last summer where we talked about the book, and you can go find that. I'll link to that in the show notes so that you can see that interview that we did. Today I want to talk. Welcome, Sean. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
And
Great to be here.
So I've said a little bit of your bio, but what else do we need to know about you that helps us to kind of get a sense of who you are?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and it's really a theme that underlies our book, which is life as a learning journey. And I was fortunate enough to attend the Naval Academy and experience leadership from a following perspective, and then from the opportunity to lead and practice leadership and learn by observing everybody I encountered. After that, joined the Marine Corps and got a commission and was a Marine officer, then selected for law school, became a JAG in the Marines. So stayed in the Marine Corps for 13 years, entered the private sector. One of the core questions that I really had to wrestle with was, okay, who am I now in the world with a different mission, without the uniform, without the rank, and what is leadership? And that led, the journey continued. That led to a real internal search for what it means to lead, regardless of mission, and that led to the learning that it really was about a mission focus and leading as a servant, leading your teammates, leadership being, I think, at its core, influence. How do we influence other people, not for our well-being, but for the we? How do we together accomplish a mission with meaning? And it's through a relationship that we call leadership. And the great thing is that one of the learnings that I had along the way, and what I have always tried to keep in mind, is that leadership can affect your job regardless of what it is. I thought of myself from a leadership perspective when I was lawyering. And it's not about manipulation. It's about, okay, what are we trying to accomplish here? How can I, what kind of influence, how can I serve this client or this situation, my team, in ways that can lead us in the direction of this shared mission? And it kept going back to these fundamentals that I'd learned in the Marine Corps, which is a very servant leader oriented organization, and I would argue an effective one. And over the years, just simplified my perspective on leadership. And I lead as a servant at home. I lead as a servant in my local community and at work. And that has really been the game changer, I think, in my life.
So I'm assuming that you don't have to be a Marine to learn this.
Not at all.
And so if we were to identify what it looks like for these characteristics or this character to be missing, I mean, if we're say we're looking for a new job and we're interviewing, for a job, and we're talking to the people in that office, or that's someplace, or we're moving to a new community, and we're meeting people in the neighborhood, that what is missing? What do we see when this kind of leadership is missing? What have you identified?
Yeah, I think when it's missing, so one of the core characteristics I think of effective leaders is that of authenticity. Uh, there is a lack of pretense in the best of leaders. There's no puffery. Uh, there is humility. They I think the best, most effective, most authentic leaders see things clearly. They see reality as it is, not as they wish it to be necessarily. But there is they realize that they're there to serve the people that they're sharing this, whatever the mission might be. If it's a community, we've got this need to fill. We have these challenges to face. And it's a belief, not that you have all the answers. In fact, uh, you're a realist in that you don't, but you know that together, that the strength of a team comes from the combination of skills and understandings and insights and perspectives. Uh, so it is, how can you serve that? How can you serve this team where you've got a shared challenge or a shared purpose? How can you serve them in accomplishing something that no individual can do on their own? I mean, when you think about, why do we have a community? Why do we have a team? It is to accomplish something that individuals standing alone, separate, looking out for their own best interests, cannot accomplish. It's beyond us individually. So we form teams, we form communities for the well-being of all. And in the midst of all of that, of course, comes your own, you'll be successful, you'll survive, your survival potential goes up, and the ability to accomplish complex and difficult things becomes much more likely when you're operating as a part of a mission-focused, servant-led team. So what you see in sort of the people who are not servant leaders with a mission focus, you see selfish behavior, you see manipulation. I think you see a lot of management. Someone once said most corporations in America are overmanaged and underled, and I love that. Uh, I think that is absolutely true. We have to do both.
Yeah.
And this is one of the big learnings, was you've got to do both: manage assets and resources, and processes. Those are subject to management, but with human beings, we have the opportunity to influence through our relationship. And that is what leadership is all about.
Yeah, I've recognized in my own leadership work that a lot of people know how to run a business, but they don't know how to lead a business.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that is this thing that separates them, because when all you know how to do is run the business, which is to do the mechanics of running the business, and you then are thrust into a crisis situation or a really stressful situation, then the real character of the leader emerges from them. We talked a little bit about that before we went on the air. So
Right.
let's talk a little bit about what happens in those stressful kind of emergency crisis situations.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that's when the cracks start to show
Mm-hmm.
and can widen. And if you don't have a relationship on which, relationships between people on a team are key. And the strength of those relationships is what is going to make the difference. when COVID hit. And so I was I was an executive in a retail company. We had 6,000 people at 400 different locations,
Mm.
and the government said, "Thou shalt close thy store doors to consumers." And by the way, we are going to pay them. So you can furlough your employees, and they'll make X amount. And then when this whole thing blows over, good luck. You've got to sort of reman the stores. And well, that's where values came in. Our CEO valued, and our executive team valued the relationships we had built over years. We had employees that had been with us for 20, 25 years. We did not want to lose them. We wanted to stand beside them. So what we did was we found a way to transition our retail stores into another way of doing business. They literally became 400 shipping centers, processing orders, etc., for the customer, to support our customer. And what that meant was we didn't let a single person go. We kept
Wow.
them. We kept them engaged. So we transitioned our business model, so long as the cash flow would allow, which was a real risk. So risky stuff. But what was the most important value? And it was twofold. Number one, in their best interest was to keep their benefits going, keep their seniority going, keep them employed, keep them engaged for their families, etc. At the same time, we knew that when the light turned green again, and we were able to engage with a retail customer who was coming through a door, our people would be ready. They would be there. We wouldn't lose them all. And so your values, if we say our people are our most valued asset, then your actions have to match your values. And boy, it just worked. And we came out of COVID strong. We were up and running faster than any of our competitors. Our people were appreciative. They knew that we took a risk. They knew that it was in large part about them. And it was just a powerful story of not just saying, and it wasn't just about dollars. The human beings were, and their families and their communities were a part of the decision making. And I think it mattered.
So in order for that to have happened, then you need, I mean, you've already spoken about the values that the company had. What were some of those values that were kind of guiding foundational values for you all?
Yeah, I think it was a philosophy that, I mean, there are lots of people that sell stuff, right?
Right.
Lots of
Oh, yeah.
companies.
And they're out of business now too.
Yeah, some of them
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
So what is the difference? What makes you different? And one of the core issues, and this is true in the military with the Marine Corps, one of the things that puts a great emphasis on is culture. What is the culture in this organization? What does it mean to be a Marine? What does it mean to be with this company? Well, it means the following, and you can lay it out. You can expect the following. You can expect that you will be treated with respect and dignity. You can expect that that you will be asked to lead at all levels, not just follow orders, but lead.
Wow.
And we will prepare you for that. We will provide you with the training and the wherewithal to do that. And we do that because we believe that it makes us more effective, makes us a stronger team, more resilient. One of the things about the company I left that I've talked about is that we always say about ourselves is that we can move fast. We make decisions fast, and we can execute quickly in the midst of change. And and then we'll pay attention to the results. If we don't get it quite right, we'll adjust. And it happens all the way, because people they believe, they're committed. Commitment levels are high in those organizations. Um, when in doubt, trust is high rather than doubt being high, or mistrust. Uh, and you show that in every interaction. So then you get down to the micro sort of moments. One of the things we stressed in this company was that, listen, if that phone is ringing and it's from the field, from the stores, so I'm back at headquarters with my team, that becomes the priority. We're having a conversation, or you've got a project going on, may be important, but answer that phone, be there for them, and listen to what their issues and problems are. They wouldn't call if it wasn't pressing. So that's just an example of really taking care of your people, is being there for them when they need you, and involving them. Another thing we did that was a part of our culture, a lot of involvement from the field up. So information would flow up, problems would be brought up, and then resolution of those problems didn't just flow from these brilliant people at the headquarters, flow down and just do what we tell you to do. We're smarter than you. It was, what do you think? Wow, let's define this problem carefully. What are your thoughts? They're on the ground. Well, this is going on, and that I think we need to do that. Great idea. Let's roll with it. Now, maybe they're right, maybe they're not, or maybe we have some insight that can provide better, decision. But they're involved in decision making. They were involved in product selection. They knew their customers. There was this respect and empathy for where they were in whether it's solving a problem or dealing with an issue. They had a voice. And that was a powerful part of the culture. And when in doubt, take care of your people, because they're the ones dealing with the customer. And someone much smarter than me once said, treat your people the way you want your customers treated, because they're the ones that are engaging, at least as well, if not better. Right? Because they are your company forward, as we would say in the military. They are engaging with not the enemy, but the customers.
Right.
Serve them, serve them, serve them, serve them.
So, did your competitors see what you were doing and notice it, and either cast it off or say, we need to embrace something like this?
Yes, our competitors did see what we were doing. I'm not sure some of them were much more sort of top-down, bureaucratic. I'm not sure they could move fast enough. Most of them made the decision to do what most companies did, which was to engage in the furloughs, and kind of let their folks go. This is not an easy thing
No.
to do, to build a culture, but just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not critical.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
You just made a distinction there between a top-down culture and
Right.
this other culture.
Yes.
And that's a question of structure, how the company is structured.
Right.
And so, can you talk about that? I mean,
Sure.
that's something of real interest to me, because I see that these top-down, highly pyramided structures. One form of talking about that is structural hierarchy, where the people at the top make all the decisions and they reap all the benefits, and people in the middle get squeezed. The middle managers get squeezed between their bosses and the people, and the workers are disenchanted because there is no respect. It's simply do your job and stay quiet. So
Right.
so can you describe that structure that you all have, and how did it come about? Because this is sorry, I don't mean to ramble. I think this is one of the key insights that companies need to come to recognize in the future, because what you all did is really the only way to survive, I think, in the world that's upon us now.
And again, I think this is where you get into the balance of management and leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So I think many organizations with any sort of complexity, even a simple organization, on the wall behind me is let's see if I can, is this picture,
Yeah.
and that's a Marine platoon that I was once a part of, and there's clearly structure, there's rank, and there's a way you set up a platoon for a march, and people are in different situations, and rank has meaning, etc. But the minute rounds are fired and you're in an operational situation, that's when that's about management. That's about getting a group of Marines down, from point A to point B, or it's in that case it was a physical exercise, a movement of a platoon. And so there are two things that happen. So you look at an organizational chart, and I was in HR as well as legal, so we were always updating the org chart. But when it comes, and that's a management function, so certain people are responsible for budgets and processes, et cetera, and you get this sort of top-down policies and practices, and you get this management aspect of a team. But you also now have the leadership opportunity, and especially when, for example, in the military, or where you're engaging with a tough issue, is you're looking for the most effective teams have leaders at all levels. And on a particular team, you may, regardless of rank, you may have leaders that are going to pop up with an insight, or are going to be able to inspire or move people in a certain way, regardless of their rank. That's where the org chart goes out of the window. I've been in situations both in the military and civilian world where it's, listen, I don't have a handle on this. You do. What do you need from me? How can I serve you and us, our team, so that let's go do that? I think you had a great idea, or you've got an insight, or I don't know enough about that issue or that problem, but I do know that I'm always going to look for a way to serve. And one of the things we talk, just to kind of really simplify this, and maybe it's a little bit of an overstatement, but I like the idea when it comes to leadership of turning the org chart upside down, literally.
Yeah.
You are no longer at the top. Your responsibility is to look up and to find ways to serve your teammates and ultimately the customer or whoever you're ultimately serving, but serving your teammates in the direction of a shared mission. So you literally blow the org chart up to the point where it's still there in the background, right? It's kind of an operating system, but in the moment, I am thinking as a leader, what's my best and highest role to serve this person or this team in the direction of our shared mission. That means it's not about me, it's about them, us, as we move in the direction of mission. And to me, that has helped me more times than ever to answer the leadership question of, okay, what's my next move? what I need to do more of or less of. Sometimes it's the less of.
It sounds like, and this is a conclusion that I've come to over the last few years, that where we are in organizations today is that leadership is conceived of as this top-down directive,
Right.
where you have authority and there's no accountability.
Yes.
But what I realized, and this is what I realized through my consulting work, is that the people who are the senior leaders of the organization, they have a real responsibility to be facilitators of others' leadership. And you've been saying that, but I think it's worth adding that to a CEO's operational mission chart, to say you are the facilitator of other people's leadership.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
and my guess is that many of them don't know what that means.
Right. No,
And
I think you're right. And I think a lot of that can come from, I think so much of the teams and organizations that are tightly managed and leadership only resides at the top level. That's about control, and that is about sort of fear. That's a fear-based sort of an approach. Well, what if they get it wrong, or I know better than them, or it's that when if you realized that in fact you strengthen the team by sometimes getting out of the way. Now listen, I'm not saying you walk around and hand titles to everybody unless sort of willy-nilly and it becomes this free-for-all, right? You have to prepare people for leadership. You have to give them the opportunity to lead. Leadership can be shared and should be shared. Responsibility can be shared. Accountability all around, right? Hold me accountable. So
right.
that's one thing. Leaders are accountable to their teammates. And also, they are going to hold them accountable, always constructively,
Right.
always. I have yet to find a situation where accountability is just like feedback is a gift. It can be done constructively, even if you have to terminate someone's employment. They may not be a good fit for the team from a values perspective or from a skill set or a mindset, and they need to be on to another mission. That may be the best thing you could do, both for your team and for that individual, but you can do it in a humane way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, shared responsibility. We are all responsible for accomplishing this mission. I need you to lead. So I'm going to show you how by my example, and I'm going to give you responsibilities which include leadership, leading people, leading your team, leading small teams, etc. Give them so that, and this is where you get to kind of the ultimate thing, which is that leadership becomes about the team, mission accomplishment, but it's so not about you that you almost, it's kind of the Lao Tse from the Tao Te Ching, is that when it's leadership at its highest level is when the team accomplishes the mission and they say, amazing, we did it ourselves.
Right.
It wasn't Sean dragging us kicking and screaming to the, or
No, it's not that way.
it was,
So,
there's a sense that they did it. Yeah.
so I have one more
Sure.
major big question to ask you, because I think it's really pertinent to where we are. Obviously, we're living in a time of great change, transitions that people are going through in businesses and communities, nations, the planet. Lots of change happening. So what is it that you think individuals like us, individuals who are scattered across the planet, what should they be doing to address the needs of the community and the society that they're a part of? What is that mindset and that sense of self-perception that they should be carrying into their daily life of engagement with the world that they live in?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I think we have to start where we are, where we stand, and almost a small unit level.
Mhm.
Uh, Start with your family. Start with your neighbors, your community. Find missions of meaning, uh, because we can't boil the ocean. And I'm going to go change the world. Well, let's first of all start with yourself. Uh, One of the, and you and I talked about this earlier, is know thyself. What are your values? What are the things that truly matter to you? What has meaning? And then find a way to plug into that with others who have a similar alignment. We've got an organization here in the local community, uh, and I won't go through the whole story, but we have purchased 125 acres of undeveloped land, and the vision and now our mission is to develop that land, uh, stand up a facility for veterans, uh, so that they have a place to go and heal, and develop skill sets, and so that they can, get on to their next mission, rather than sort of still being consumed by, the last one.
Mhm.
And uh, I it's in fact it's a few miles from my house, this property, and we've got a meeting tomorrow night about fundraising, and now comes the hard work of standing up a nonprofit, and but finding a need that has meaning to you, that you can contribute to, um and it there has to be a belief that these efforts, and then you combine, right? You get this, crawl, walk, run, and what you find is that there are other organizations of a similar nature. Well, let's share information. How did they handle this issue and that issue? And maybe you can do some joint projects, and things can build momentum, and and you find yourself, and that's kind of the name of our book, On Mission. You find yourself in a place where you are on mission. You're involved in in contributing, and a part of a mission with meaning, with others who share that, and and there has to be a healthy sense of optimism for leaders, because you are bringing energy and creating. I think of leadership as an act of both faith and creation. You're creating relationships and initiatives, and whether it's a team that didn't exist before with a mission focus, you're creating change in the world that wouldn't exist if you were not leading. You don't always have to be the leader at the top, right? Be a leader on a team.
Right.
And that's a that's a lot. It's an act of courage, and requires that you take care of yourself, and stay fit, and so you don't become a casualty on the field. You've got it. There's some self-care involved there, but when you bring that kind of, you're creating something that didn't exist before, and that's a kind of human beings at their highest. Not
Yeah,
putting
it's
myself on a pedestal, but
that's great stuff, Sean.
yeah.
I think about all these people that I know around the world, and how they look to us in America as kind of the paragons of all this stuff. And I say to them, well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, we have people who fail at this, just like we have people that succeed, and you have people that fail at this, just like people. But the real key is in deciding that I'm going to do something. I'm going to take initiative.
Yes.
I'm going to establish my purpose. I'm going to define my purpose as a mission to go do something,
Yes.
have impact. I mean,
Yes.
and this is why I would encourage you to find Sean and John's book On Mission. I said this last year when we did the review together. We had a conversation. I think it's one of the most important and valuable books on leadership of this century. I'm glad to embarrass you.
No, thank you.
You're a humble guy, but it really is a really well-crafted book, and I think it's something that's available to everyone, regardless of who you are and where you live. And so I would encourage you to find this book and read it, because I think you'll find your life improved by it, and I think it will give you. And if you need need more of that kind of stuff, then you read Circle of Impact, my book. But I think you pair those together, and you have basically all you really need to create an ethos of leadership in your family or in your business, at your church, or wherever it may be. I think that's the thing here. And so, Sean, how did they find your book, and how did they find you? If they want to talk to you, if they want to engage with you, have you come speak or do something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a website, onmissionleaders.com. And that's my buddy and I. He's got a PhD, and he's a retired Marine Corps lieutenant colonel and an educator, John Buford. Our book is available in all the places. It is you can find it on Amazon. You can also get the Audible version through
Excellent.
Audible, and we're real proud of that. It just turned out really well. So you can listen to us, or you can read the words. And yes, John and I are both available individually or collectively for coaching, team development, also for public speaking engagements. Just if you want to realign an organization or get a running start, we're there. We took us 10 years to write the book together. And took us a combined 80 years of 40 apiece of leadership and following experience in the military and civilian world. So we've combined those, thrown some stories in there to make it entertaining. But the concepts of leadership are simple, not always easy, because we are human. But they are simple concepts, and that's why I have hope. We do it. In this world, we aren't good. We don't put the kind of effort I think need to into helping people shoulder their leadership responsibilities, which is a shame. And that's a part of our mission, is to prepare people to lead.
Well, thank you, Sean, for coming on. This has
Thank you.
been fantastic. I knew it would be. And
Yeah, I
um,
appreciate you.
I'm grateful for the work that you're doing. I'm grateful for the leadership you're providing,
Thank you.
the impact that you're having. And it's just a thing I want to celebrate. And
Well,
why
thank you. And back at you. I love the way you are you're doing the thing. You are leading as well. And this is the thing on the great teams. We lead and follow, and then in the next moment I may follow your lead, and then it's a fluid, but it's all with a mission focus, and it's all as a servant. And I think you and I are kind of have this that dance going on.
Yeah, that's really true. And I think maybe it's also worth saying is that you don't have to be, a military veteran. You don't
No.
have to be a PhD level academic star. All you need is what you already have. And if you start with what you have, then you will gain what you will need in the future. But just start where you are, do what you can, be kind to yourself, but also be critical at the way that you can learn. And I think if you do that, then your life will matter.
Yes.
Where you live. And that's really, what more can you say? I mean, that's the best.
And we need all hands on deck. We really do.
So
nice.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button, but even more so, please comment, ask your questions, tell a story, engage with us so that others can hear your voice and hear about what you've experienced and how it shares a commonality with all of us. So please do that, because that's really where I really enjoy what we're doing here. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you again real soon.
Thank you.